Test, test. Can you guys say something?
Hello.
Yep, the desktop audio is working. Now I'm going to deafen myself while I prepare to get the stream online.
There we go. My audio was working for a second. I was like, oh, let me remute myself.
Top left blue, bottom left is lime, bottom right is yellow, and top right is red.
Yeah, I was checking the logo again because sometimes I forget it.
All you have to do is F5 twice.
Concrete, because I think concrete looks better in my opinion. You said on top, Skelly?
On top of the fence, yeah.
Okay. Let me get a darker one. Did you already get the AFK exemptions crumple?
Yes, it's just Not Short and Skelly. I don't know if there are any other broadcasters.
That's good. Guessing with some tiny benches.
Wow, is it just going to be S3? This is... Okay, well, I'm live on my end.
Give me about 1 minute. I'll be live after I undeafen myself.
All right.
At the moment, we only have 3 staff members online.
Okay. I have 3 absentee ballots. That reaches a total of 6. We never had any specific rule around quorum regarding it. But I'm just thinking maybe we should just push through it. Because it is up. It's up to staff to take the time if they want to attend or not.
Oh, there's AP.
Yeah, some staff might be coming in. Oh, AP, get in here. You have to push a button to promote yourself. There you go.
There we go.
Yep.
I've literally just hopped off the bus. I haven't even taken my face mask off yet.
Oh, wow. Okay, I think we're going to get started. Some staff members may appear later, and I think Chief's one of them, but I do have 3 absentee ballots. So yeah, welcome to the May 8th. Let me just check something. Oh, yeah. This is the May 2021 General Staff Meeting. In attendance is only AP, myself, CC, and Skelly. It is a bit concerned that there's not enough staff here, but again, this is kind of the middle of exam season. But again, I'm not sure why there are not that many other staff around. I do have 3 absentee ballots, so that brings the total to 7. We're just going to go through it, and I'll mention those ballots as we get through these topics. So, let's go on to the first topic. First off is 5A, an amendment to most important number rule number 3. This is something I proposed a little bit while back. You can read through the topic yourself if you're interested, but basically, I want to clarify with everyone of what this rule was originally intended to be. It's basically the rules can't cover everything or every situation. So this rule is here in case staff need to take action to prevent any sort of harm or damage to the other people or the server itself. Usually it's meant to, if this rule wasn't in place, usually people end up just arguing about the rule and they try to gotcha and say, oh, that's not written in the rules, blah 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 blah. But we're not going to have any of that here, so that's why this rule is here. Some people seem to be confused about what this rule is. In some cases, sometimes staff might use it they might use it too much in a way. Like they'll just say, "Oh, because I'm staff, I can use this rule." That's not what it's supposed to be used for. And nowadays, this rule is not used as much because we filled in a lot of the rule gaps and all that. So, but again, it is a tool. It's basically like it's like a sledgehammer in, like one of those fire hammers, fire escape hammers. Like it's there in the box in case we need to use it, but it's not to be used often. So, just to make the rule clear, the amendment is basically adding a little extra wording onto the rule saying, staff reserve the right to take appropriate action for behavior or actions deemed unacceptable for the server and community, even if such behavior is not explicitly in violation of the server rules as written. So I think that makes the original intent of this rule a lot clearer. For the staff here or anyone else, does anyone have any comments on this?
I agree. It does make it much clearer as to when this rule will be used. Again, like you said, it's like a fire hammer. It's not often, but
I don't really have a problem with it. Our rules aren't meant to be exhaustive and cover every situation that could possibly happen. So having this reserve clause is needed to prevent anyone from trying to turn this into a court and lawyer their way out of doing something that's obviously not good.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Okay. Absentee ballots. I mean, you just have to believe me. All three of them. Actually, I'll just say who the absentee ballots are from. I received one from Vicky, Kyle, and Sinra. And on this question, they all approve the amendment as proposed. So, okay. In that case, unless there's any comments from the members about it, or if you want clarifications, I think we can go forward with this. Okay. Nothing? No objection?
no objections for me.
All right. That's okay. Let's move on then. The next couple ones are just they're actually rules I proposed and on behalf of some other people, based on some circumstances that came up. So 5B, local transit vehicle exemptions. Someone, I think it was Wire, it might have been someone else. I might be getting my things wrong. Was asking whether local rail lines, such as a metro, would be allowed. The rules as written only state, and that's what was written. That was what was proposed in the September 2019 GSM. It only states local tram lines and monorails that exist within a city are allowed. So it's very specific to these specific types of modes, but not metros. So the amendment I'm proposing says local train lines, including metros, trams, monorails, would be allowed here. And this basically means that not every train, if you have a local train line, you don't have to have a train at every stop necessarily. That's what it's saying. Otto's made a comment saying it should say including but not limited to. I'm not sure if that's needed here. I could also change the wording to such as metros, trams, and monorails, which might be worth it, but Any comments on this?
I think in terms of, I think our reasoning for including trams originally was that they are effectively buses on rails, and we already had this exemption for buses before that. Considering there might be some cities, some situations where the line between tram and metro is quite blurred, as is the case in, say, a lot of German cities, a lot of German U-Bahn systems. I think it makes sense to include metros in this as well.
Okay. I guess, are there any objections to changing this rule? I guess. I don't know if there are any.
None for me.
I don't really have any issues.
Okay. In that sense, and do we just want to go with the wording? Do we want to go with Otto's wording or my wording, or do you want to go as such as metros? I don't know what you guys think would be the best here.
So lawyer speak stuff.
Yeah, I know it's painful.
I think the including but not limited to is gets it fine because it just shows like these include it, but there are other. It allows us also room if we need to use it.
Okay.
I'm fine. I think autos covers it, gives us the examples and also flexibility if we need to ever use it for something.
Okay. I'm fine with it too. So, yeah. Okay, so we'll go with Otto's wording, and that'll be the official amendment to this rule. Okay. All right, moving on, unless there's anything else. Oh, I should... Well, actually, I'll just mention the... So people vote... The absentee people voted, but they didn't leave any comments, so I don't know why they would vote it. But the person... Most of them voted yes, except for one person, who I need to look up right now. Who voted? Vicky said no. Vicky said the rule is fine as it is, which I'm not sure if she knows the context of why this is being proposed, but I don't know. But since it's only her vote versus everyone else, I'm thinking we should just approve. Okay.
You can ask her later, I guess, too.
Yeah, if she has some questions about it, we can elaborate. Moving on to 5C, allow warp buses and trains on ferries. I propose this on behalf of Otto, because he was proposing, if you recall at the last ISM, he made a proposal for an exception, and I think that was approved, if I recall correctly. And now I've changed this amendment a little bit, but now I think I've settled on simply adding this clause onto the boats and ferry section on the rules, and it simply says ferry lines that transport warp buses and warp trains can only be established with prior staff meeting approval. So you need to propose this in a GSM proposal saying, I want to have a warp bus line or a train line through the dock. In terms of the absentee ballots, Chief did also put in an option for this should be allowed with email approval, kind of like 4K waivers. And I think a few of them answered that.
I personally think email approval, like a 4K waiver, should be the case, considering it would be about the same level of scrutiny as we give to 4K waivers.
I had mentioned at the past meeting, I think Frumple mentioned putting meeting just to kind of keep things simple.
Yeah, I'm a little hesitant on just shoving everything in as an email approval. I get that it would make things faster, but it does require someone to keep track of it. And considering that they're not that, I mean, usually I and Skelly are pretty much on top of it, but I'm just worried it could get lost if no one's watching.
Kitty asked a question in the meeting live channel
about, what's the rationale for requiring staff meeting approval?
I just explained it. So basically, I see.
I would argue it's staff oversight in this case to make sure it's like a decent ferry, or it meets the rules that we're expecting.
Yeah, no, I was kind of expecting this argument from Kitty because he doesn't want any restriction whatsoever.
I think
Yeah.
there's a different. I think realistically we're going to be dealing with two situations with this. Either one, providing a service to an island, to an island in the middle of nowhere, or crossing a river, or bay.
Actually, I have. I have a counter. I finally I've remembered the counterpoint why we want staff meeting approval or email approval, and that is, what if someone if there's no oversight on this, someone could make a ferry from one end of the world to another, and that would be technically valid because if the waterways are clear, they could do that. But the intent of this rule is mainly for like local-ish ferries that are just going from like mainland to island or island to island, like not some humongous cruise going all over the place.
I suppose we could add a corollary just to basically add the 4K rule on top of any train ferries, that any ferries with warp vehicles that go over 4K require approval.
But then what about buses? Because that also falls in this rule.
Considering we don't have much
any warp vehicles, so including trains, buses, trams, whatever else, dragons.
I think
starts mixing up lots of rules and makes things complicated.
I think the thing is I think the rationale behind applying it to rail systems is that obviously train lines need that infrastructure which crosses the land. Whereas say for buses need the roads, and we already have processes for approving long roads, through the ISMs and GSMs.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference between the roads and the bus line. Like if someone wants to build a bus line, to be very clear in case people get confused, people can build boats and ferries all they want. Like that's not restricted. This is just about establishing lines that use ferries to cross.
An example would be Ocean Islands with the B-22 to cross from that peninsula to the islands themselves.
Yeah, that'd be an example. Oh yeah, so let me just quickly look up the absentee votes. Wish Chief made this easier. So Vicky says email approval. Kyle says staff meeting approval, and Sinra says email approval. So you have 2 votes for email, 1 vote for staff. And again, they didn't provide any comments, so I don't know what the rationale is. So
it's 2-1 email on the absentees, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Do we need to vote ourselves?
Do we want? I don't know. Do we want to?
I don't really have a strong opinion either way.
We could try email approval and see how that goes. Again, it's supposed to be our thinking is it's supposed to be something very rare. So we'll see how rare it is actually, maybe.
It's like I prefer if we did email, but like I do see the concerns over keeping track of it.
Yeah. I'd say we try email. If we run into a situation where we lose track of at one time, then we need to revisit it and maybe go to stat to meeting approval instead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm down.
Okay.
Yep, approval.
All right. So we're gonna try email approval on this. I guess I'll have to reword the wording on there. Okay, moving on to 5D. This one's a chonker. I've had numerous conversations with Otto about this. They're quite interesting. But basically, Otto's initial proposal is to bring back the old voting system that I I kind of snuck in, honestly. I didn't propose it, so that's on me. Basically, my concern. So before December 2020, I believe that's when it was. We had a system where if you wanted to get promoted to moderator, you need at least 51% of 4 votes from the existing staff, and no greater than 2 against votes. So if you had 3 or more against votes, you'd be automatically denied. That was changed to get rid of. That was changed to instead a 67% supermajority of 4 votes, and then getting rid of the against threshold. The reasoning for this at the time I had was that I was concerned that there might be if you have the 3 against threshold, that might leave some members to indefinitely block someone from being promoted. At least that was my concern at the time. I don't think that's much of a concern now. And also the reason I moved it up from 50 to 67% was to compensate, or at least I thought it was going to compensate for removing that against threshold. But now looking at that, 67% is a bit too much, and I am okay with moving it back down to 50%. The question is what do we do about the against the 3 or more against threshold. There are a lot of options. Otto's simply says to just bring it back as is, or his initial proposal. I proposed some options to at least help that threshold scale in case we get more staff members, if we ever get that point. There's like 3 options. You can read those up on your own. Otto did give a comment saying option C seemed the most favorable to him because it at least presents. Option C sets a minimum of 3 or 21%. So, for believe there's a table in form you can look up. But if we have 10 to 14 staff members voting, then the threshold is 3. If you get 15 or more staff, then it turns into 4, 5, or 6. That's when 21% kicks in. So just to make sure that it's not just set at 3 all the time. Yeah, Skelly, you can pop that table in if you like, just if you want. Actually, I think it is already there. It's already linked.
It's already linked.
It's already linked, actually. Oh, you want to paste the image? If you want to. So.
I think.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
No, go for it.
I think I'm in favour of the 21% or 3, whichever's greater.
So option C?
Yes, option C. Because the argument's given there, but the fact that it prevents just one staff member with a grudge stopping a person becoming moderator. It's not. I'm not saying that's likely. However, at least there's that safeguard in place.
Yeah. I would say I'm just worried about the less than 10 staff votes because as it stands right now, we are having our staff activity.
Well, Frumple can always.
Just to be clear, CC, the option C is actually good for that because if we say have like 9 or less staff members, the threshold still is still at 3. That means it's actually less likely for someone to just vote against and scuttle a promotion. It actually makes it more likely for someone to get promoted this way. So,
let me look at the table again.
Yeah, look at the table. Look at the table and pretend that from 1 to 9, the against votes was all 3. I think that'll help.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that part again?
So for option C, for staff voting 1 to 9, pretend that the against votes threshold is 3, not 1 or 2. That basically means that it's easier for someone to get promoted. Even if there's like a few staff voting, they still need to get 3 against votes to scuttle that promotion. Does that make sense?
So in the case of 3, so in the case of 9 or 10 or less, it has to be at least 33%. In that case,
just 3. It'd be just 3.
Yeah, usually.
The absentee votes are all over the place, unfortunately. This is a problem when I give people too many options. I'll read them out. Sinra voted option B. Again, no, there's no justification for that. I don't have any written justification for that. Kyle wants to go with Autobus's original proposal, so that just go with 3 for that's the threshold for any type of vote. And Vicky wants option C.
I like option C.
Okay. Yeah, option B I put out there. I initially thought, but then there was like, what happens if there's less than, like, as we see, like if there are not enough staff voting, right? Like if we had mod noms now, there'd be only 7 votes. That we're definitely in that territory.
Wouldn't that be the first time requiring quorum for something?
We don't have rules on rules on quorum specifically.
No, I'm just saying that would be if we did option B. That would be the first time it would be requiring quorum for something, like in this
Sure.
a quorum of some sort for something.
Correct. Yes. Like, I think I proposed just because the 3, it just fit with the, as you see on the table, it fit with the 10 staff. And from I looked back historically of how many people voted. The lowest I've seen was 10, at least since the new process was introduced. So, I mean, that seemed like a good point to put in there. I mean, let's so adding it up. Otto likes option C. Vicky said likes option C. Skelly's likes option C. What do you guys think? Like so far, it seems option C seems to be the strongest.
In any case, if we had a situation where everybody on staff voted, how many staff members do we have right now?
I believe 14.
Okay, so if we did have a situation where all the staff voted and 3 people and 2 people voted against, that seems okay. With 3 people, with more than 3 people, say we got 1 more staff member and those 3 people voted against. That was when I think that's at that point we start asking questions. I think at that point the veto might be.
I mean, it was too divisive from Paul said he would use his veto if it was like very divisive.
Yeah, I explained this to Otto. I think what happened was Otto may have not understood that I have the veto power. So after I had discussions with him, I think he then understood, like, oh, there is that. So maybe. I mean, there's also another option of just getting rid of the whole against threshold completely and just going back. You just go back to 50%. That's it. Because if my veto power is still there, then that might still be enough, right?
I don't think we should really think about getting rid of neutral or against without more staff present, because some people have used a mix of it.
Sorry, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
Well, there's not many people here today. I think if we want to talk about getting rid of the whole against neutral parts, I think that's a topic for me to have more staff present.
Okay.
To get more opinions on that matter, because I feel like that's a different topic entirely.
Sure. Okay.
I mean, as far as the things today, in terms of the against thresholds, I do agree with Otto. And I kind of am leaning more my sense toward option C.
Okay. Are we agreeing? We're in agreement at least on moving the threshold of 4 votes to 51%. That's not a question, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So option C for now. It does sound like that we might have to have further conversations. There are bigger issues of just like staff activity at the moment. Because if this continues into June, then we might have to do something. So, but hopefully not. I'm not sure. Does anyone else have any comments? I didn't see much activity in meeting channel. There's not much going on there. I'm sorry, this might be the most boring staff meeting ever because there's no staff to
I
yell
thought
at
that would
each
take
other
the longest. So
yeah, but I mean, it's just, I don't know. We're just going to the
I thought
motion.
that would get a lot more comments.
Okay, let's go with option C then. For now.
Yeah.
And yeah, if staff didn't wanted to make their, I mean, this proposal has been here for a bit, so if people wanted to bring their opinion on it, I think they have had plenty of opportunity to do so. So, okay. All right, moving on. That's all the community issues. And we're only half an hour in. That's pretty good.
Transport.
B20 extension, Kingsnake.
So
Otto did ask a good question about it, and I thought about that too.
I brought it up in the channel. I brought it up in the staff channel about a week ago. Yoshi it looks like Yoshi's given the go ahead. I've not heard anything back from Tom Pears since. So.
Okay. So I don't know if Kingstake's, where is Kingstake here at all? Nope. Okay.
I don't think so.
So maybe do we want to just double check with Kingsnake if he has permissions from Tom then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do
we want him to repropose, or do we just maybe want to conditionally approve it maybe? Because like outside of that, because it's a very short road. I don't know if there's any other issues.
A short road, and in fairness, the line of it is already on the ground.
He's finishing the road more or less.
Okay.
I'm fine with approving it, conditionally approving it, like assuming once he gets the perms.
Okay.
Pending permission from Tom Pears.
Sounds good. Okay, let's do that.
And AP, you said that he already had perms from Yoshi?
Yes, if you scroll up in the staff channel to the 30th of April.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it just Yoshi's given perms, but it hasn't been publicly announced. So that's why because Otto doesn't know that whether Yoshi gave perms.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to clarify for public.
Okay, so conditionally approved. Let's go on to events. Frog. Oh yeah, Frog proposed this last time, but we came back to him saying, please get a sense of who's going to attend. So that's all there. Yeah, just there's a note at the very end saying, last year there were 15 participants. In the survey that he put out, it looks like 8 people express interest. So, I mean, 8's still pretty good in itself.
Mm-hmm. He's run the events pretty well. I had fun last time I was there. I think he's doing a good job so far.
Any issues with the prize amounts or anything like that? Did it seem okay?
I'm gonna pull up the event funding doc while we were talking to check.
I don't see any issues with the summer games. The winter games were fairly well run from what I saw if it's in February.
Oh, I forgot to look at the absentee ballots. There are 2 votes.
He's asking for a lot less, actually. He's asking for less than we did last time.
Okay, that should be fine. Yeah, sorry, I forgot
Winter games.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
My bad. Winter games, he requested 1,800. Like that was what he was approved for. I mean, he did 1,400 was his given out amount.
Okay, cool. I forgot the absentee ballots on 6A. 2 people said just approve in full. 1 said with conditions. But the person, whoever it is, didn't give me any comments, so I don't know. And for this one, okay, I need to make it. One thing I'm going to tell staff: if they're going to say vote fund with conditions, they need to tell me what the conditions are, because I have no fucking clue. So this is not good. But yeah, 2 voted in full, 1 voted with conditions. I don't know what those conditions are.
On the event funding?
On 7A, yeah. So let me who voted. Let me just look up who. Name and shame.
I mean, I'm fine with in full. It's the amount's not too bad.
Yeah, Kyle voted approve with conditions, but no, that's correct. No, he voted approve with conditions on the road. It was Sinra.
Oh.
Yeah, Sinra voted approve fund with conditions on 7A and 7B. I don't know what those conditions are. So honestly, Sinra needs to do a better job of explaining himself.
Yeah, it's like according to Frog, he says it'll be close to 1,800. It depends on the participants because it's paying participants of being there.
Mhm.
So it's like in line with this last one.
Okay. Let's approve it in full. I have no issues with it.
I'm fine with approving full. AP Skelly.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
All right. Next up is 7B, the Mu 1 Grand Prix, which is... What is it? It's a horse racing event. Okay. I see Skelly's trying to clarify. Out of curiosity, have there ever been a horse racing event? Well, I guess like outside of maybe Olympics, but like one that's been just dedicated to just horse racing. I don't think there's been an event like this.
So.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll give rise to a new generation of NASCAR.
Oh boy.
As for the poll itself, it said 6 said that they would be interested in participating in the race if the timings are in your favor. So he didn't exactly say what time of day he would do it at. 3 people said no, and 8 people said maybe / other.
Okay. I mean, I would agree that because Harbor is in Hong Kong, or in those at that time zone, it'll be. I think it'd be definitely a challenge to try to get people involved.
And
yeah.
as you can see, he didn't really put too much. The proposal wasn't too detailed at first, but he did at least come up with answers to my clarification questions.
I'm totally fine if, again, this is Harbor's first event proposal. I can forgive him for not getting all the details right or being specific. So as long as he gives the appropriate answers and gives the clarification, which he has, I'm fine with that. So
yeah, not really much to say except I'm happy with. Obviously, we had questions. He's answered them. I'm happy with approving.
I was iffy, but now that he actually answered the questions, now I'm fine.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, I'd say approve. Whether or not it happens, I mean, it's going to be a challenge to, again, with the time zones and all that. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
We'll watch with anticipation.
Yeah. All right. So 7B approved. And the last topic, we're not even done. It's not even an hour. Is London's bank holiday tournament. London's here. I'm guessing London is now because Talon's not here. I haven't seen him in a long time. So pretty much London is the MGA person.
London is MGA.
Yeah. But yeah, this is a bank holiday tournament for the late May bank holiday. And those are the amounts, $1,000 total, plus participation prizes. Any objections? Any concerns? Any questions?
It's how many of these tournaments have been run now?
There've been a few, actually.
Oh, I do have to know, to London, there's no information of how you need to show it. I'm not, I know we, you need to show, we need a poll of showing interest, though, this thing.
I've announced an event if anyone was interested in the tournament. 8 people so far have voted their interest to participate, which is a promising amount.
Oh, sorry, I missed that part. Yeah, okay, I see it. Never mind. No, London, you did put in. It's just not. I just missed reading it. It is there.
Yeah, the poll's there.
8 interested, 5 not interested, and 2 no opinions or not sure.
Oh, King Snake is here, so we can tell him about the road in a sec. But yeah,
yeah.
Considering I think the last golf tournament went pretty okay, so I don't see any problems of approving this.
Yeah, anything. I know Talon's been iffy, but at least with London running it, I think it'll happen. So
Yeah.
I think we'll be fine.
Okay. All right. 8 or 7C is approved. And that is the end of the topics. Wow. It's less than an hour.
Okay, so King Snake. King Snake
39
said he had
minutes.
perms from Tom.
Okay, in that case, then it's approved. Like, we'll take his word for it. If it's not the case, then Tom can yell at us after. So
Okay.
Okay, brilliant.
cool. Yeah, this is a short. It's definitely one of the shortest GSMs ever because it's so much easier when there's less people. There's less arguing. Huh. Not that it means anything. But
I think maybe also just the makeup of the people here. We all aren't very confrontational people.
that is true. Not to say anything. Okay, so I guess it is Q&A time. Wait, no, there's what's first, trustee or Q&A?
Take your poison.
I mean, I like Q&A. I like Q&A time. Trustee, no.
I can do trustee if you really don't want to do it.
Let's just get it out of the way because they put a lot of effort into it. They want their time in the sun. How do I get out of this thing? Oh no. Yeah,
Okay, Elite, bring the notes up. Wait, to me or Frumple, who's doing it?
You please, CC, please don't.
Okay. Here we go. The MRT Trustee Association since 2016. Trustee meeting for March 8th, 2021. Bahia Aircraft Carrier, big thing at Mojangberg's Pretoria Airport. The Honorable Speaker Elite Neon. Nominations. The sport of lacrosse for trustee. Approved. 2-1 after tiebreaker. The sport of baseball for trustee. Approved 3-0. Insert Garrett Cole noises. The Republic of Sedalia for trustee. Denied 1-2 after a tiebreaker. Project 5 for trustee. Approved 3-0. The Atlantic Ocean for T. Approved 2-0. Frumple's Burger King for owner plus. Approved 4-0. Valley Sports Network, a Sinclair property, for guest. Approved 2-0. Jack Flaherty for owner plus. Approved 2-0. General business. Motion to declare this motion false. Approved 2-0. Motion about the James sentence CP1. Approved 2-0. Airdropping Frumple's Burger King onto his house. Approved 3-0. Declaring May 4th to be International Dave Brubeck Day instead of the other holiday. Approved 0-0 because I am the Senate. Replacing the definition of ETC, etc. to end of thinking capacity. Approved 2-0. Motion to adjourn. Approved 2-0. And I, Speaker Elite Neon, do hereby certify this agenda to be the will of the Trustee Association and its Speaker. May Aristotle bless the trustees and may Aristotle bless the MRT. Signed Elite Neon. These are the words of the trustees, so be it.
You know, to be honest, it feels like we're doing a religious sermon and we're allowing it into a official government meeting. I don't know. Oh, AP gone.
Yeah, we're totally usurping theocracy.
Yeah. All right, it's Q&A time. To be honest, please ask questions because I want this meeting to be interesting. Because this has been a pretty nondescript, pretty. I don't know if it's good. Call it sad meeting. It just feels kind of empty. But yeah, please ask questions. No silly questions yet. But if you have anything you want to talk about, or regarding the server, that sort of thing, so you don't have to rub it in. Not sure, Jesus.
Any legit questions like nominations or roads, events?
Pretzel is currently typing.
So he said he had no questions.
Oh, I'll try to ask a question on behalf of the meeting just to make it interesting. So, do you think that there is a possibility that you will post a survey question to try to assess the moderator nomination situation?
I don't. What do you mean specifically? The what situation? Which one? Because there's
To
a
try
lot.
the situation as to why people are not really nominating people for moderator.
That one, I don't think it can be answered with a survey question. I think that can be just simply answered by talking to people, because I suspect that people's answers will be quite varied and they'll depend on context as well. So some of it might be, as you said, there aren't any, all the candidates that we've looked through have already been looked at, and there are not that many candidates available. Some of them might be that like finding evidence for people is just too hard, and you know they don't want to spend the time to work on it. And that's fair because people are quite busy at the moment, and there could be other answers. I don't know. I don't think it's a survey question is appropriate for this sort of thing.
The new rules for mod. You mean like the nomination, Narnia?
Yeah. Oh, Narnia. Yeah. So Narnia, basically, we all had an old system where it was to get moderator, you need 50%, 51% for votes, and no greater than 2 against votes. We changed that to 67%, like 2/3, 4 votes, and that's it. But we're going to change it back to 50%, and it'll also be 2 against votes or 21% against votes, whichever is greater. Or yeah, you'd have to read the agenda to really get it. Yeah, more than 2, I should say. So 3.
Yeah, option C. Yeah.
Option C.
So if there's 3, so the against threshold basically is 21% of whoever the people voting at that time,
Yeah.
or 3 against votes. Whichever one of those ends up being greater is how we would deny a candidate.
Yeah. So hopefully with this, at least, you know, candidates won't get rejected from this point forward. Candidates won't get rejected if they don't reach the 67% threshold at least. So that's there.
Let me grab the document for Narnia because he was asking for that.
Yeah, Narnia, it's in the meeting agenda channel from Discord. So
yeah, I just put it on live.
And yeah, regarding evidence, evidence is important, and I feel like it's even more important because unfortunately, as you see in this meeting, a lot of the staff aren't terribly active right now, and there's not much I could like because they're not active. I worry that they're not able, because if they're not present in game or on Discord, they're not going to be able to see the other candidates in action, like, you know, see how they behave, see how they treat others, that sort of thing. So if they don't have that, evidence is very important because at least you can show those people who may have not noticed those sort of things. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens at the June GSM. Like, hopefully, maybe we'll see some nominations, maybe not. Also, I'll keep an eye on staff attendance and also activity levels, because if this continues into June, I'd be a bit concerned. And something like maybe this month's a one-off, because again, it is kind of middle of the exam season. People are super busy, so we'll have to see if this is a pattern or not.
Yeah, we did almost have a nomination this time, so hopefully they just renominate.
That is correct, but because of technicality, it was canceled.
Yep. Hopefully they do renominate the candidate.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I can pose the question to. Oh well, I guess some of you've already answered. Like, yeah, is it because it's too hard to get evidence, or there are no candidates? And I think some people already answered. Narnia's PM me. Is there a goal number of staff you'd like to see? Kinda, yes. So let me make this clear. The problem is there are not enough staff covering all the time zones. They're not active enough. Usually the way to solve that, one way to solve that, is to just get a whole bunch more staff and then because you have more staff, it's more probable that people can share time zones and all that sort of stuff. So there's more likelihood that staff will be online. I've heard a lot of low-key complaints that staff aren't online to do world edits and that sort of thing. If you look on, there is a wiki, there's a document that Yoshi maintained. It's called the staff timeline. You can search it on the wiki too. It's a historical timeline of who has been staff and how many staff have been in the history of the server. It's jumped from like 9 to 24 over the years. Right now we're at 14. I think a good goal, to answer Nani's question, I think a good goal might be trying to get back to 20 if we can. That seems like a nice round number.
That's very lopsided right now, London. Specifically Pacific is a lot right now. I definitely didn't help because with me moving, Sinra moving.
London, there are no, with actually Mega gone too, there are no people covering the Asian time zone. And Europe, with Gods gone, because Gods was gone quite a bit. There's not much there either. Like AP Ungeons. Yeah. So
I wouldn't call Mega Asian time zone. He was very under in the Western time.
that too, and also just in terms of representation, like just having, like, and when I mean representation, I mean culturally, because people in Singapore and people in Hong Kong have a very different mindset than people in New Zealand, right? Like pretty much Mega was kind of a Western guy, right? So in terms of getting new staff, I would like to see. There was a time long ago where we had more of a varied makeup of staff, but in the recent years, it seems it's gotten constrained to just, it's now very even like California centric, even in some cases, right? So yeah, we need to spread things around a bit. Actually, you know what? I'm going to say this too. I'm going to lift some vetoes right now. These will be valid for the next. Yeah, I almost forgot about this. These will be valid for the next. So they can be nominated for the next GSM if there is. Basically, in December, it was Autobus around December. It was Autobus, London, and Needham who were vetoed around that time. I'm going to be lifting all three of them at the moment because it's been about 5 to 6 months. So I don't say when exactly I'd lift vetoes, but I think that's a good amount of time to do it. So those three members will be lifted. I'll make a little announcement in nomination general to make this clear.
I'm sorry, repeat that again.
So the people who are lifted from veto are Autobus, London, and Needham NL. I'm going to make this also very clear. My lifting of veto is non-endorsement of them. They still need to get two nominations and also approval from staff, and I could still vote against them in the vote depending on what kind of evidence or what other things I see. So this is non-endorsement. It's just I'm lifting the veto. I'm unlocking the door per se. So
good luck to those three then.
And there are some other people who've been vetoed in the past too. I think roughly. Usually I'd review vetoes. I think roughly at the 6 month mark. So when that point comes, then I'll decide whether to lift it or not.
So is this gonna be like an official policy of yours? Will it be a 6 month kind of period where you'll review?
I don't want to make it official because there might be cases where I might lift it early or later, or maybe never. So
yeah. Fair.
But in this case, I think enough time's been spent for those three. So yeah, I think because it's just simply on the basis of time, like it seems so far long ago that I don't have the same concerns I had before. Okay. Oh, here we go. Pretzel has a question.
That's the point.
Yeah, Pretzel, are we allowed to coordinate on mod noms to see if other people have already sent one and granted it? There's nothing stopping you from doing it. just be careful that you don't, if you're going to work together on writing a nomination, just make sure that you both send in nominations and you write it in your own words. You can, if it turns out you share the same evidence, that's fine. I think that's kind of expected in a way. Like, you know, if you happen to find the same evidence, or we work together to find the same evidence, but you still, the important thing is you have to write in your own words and explain why you think that person should be a moderator. I'll like it. That basically what happened with Otto and if you look in the ModNom doc for this meeting, Otto and Puef or MJP were about to nominate Missa, but on further investigation, we found that actually Otto wrote the nomination for the most part, and Puef only gave feedback, so he didn't really have much of a hand in writing the nomination. So based on that, we had to reject it. Also, if you're going to write in nominations, please do it as early as possible, because if you do it right at the deadline, I have to wait and go ask the person if they are interested in the position at all, and that can take some time. So try to get your nominations earlier rather than later, please. Are there any other questions? I think we've discussed quite a bit now. I don't feel as bad about this meeting, because now at least there's some discussion happening. Okay, are we at A89? So Cody's requested that we go the opening of the A892. So if you're interested in doing that, I guess TPA to Cody or something. I don't know.
Spawn and fast boy.
Okay. All right. Unless there's anything else, I think we're gonna call this meeting close. We finished in less than an hour, so I think that's a very nice time to end it. And
Sounds an ISM.
Yep. And a reminder: I guess there's no other events. The ISM is 3 weeks from now, not 2 weeks. So there's quite a bit of lead time there. It is May 29th, next Saturday. So
Actually, don't forget to sign up for Major League Spleef, which has the season starting next week, and 20th Taco Burrito-thon, which will be held on Saturday, May 22nd.
Oh yeah. Okay.
To general we go.
Okay. Thanks for everyone for coming. That's the end of the meeting. Goodbye.